This is Paul. Yes, uh-huh. Now, verse 20. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened in pride, yes, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him, and he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. The word ass is in the Bible. Oh, they fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven. Till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee. And thou and thy lords, thy wives, thy concubines, have drunk wine in them. And thou hast praised the God of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Oh. Verse 29. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And in that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old, approximately 62 years old. Yes, I remember it was the proclamation 7 years ago. Our fathers. Yes, yes. I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said that during the Civil War, after he made that proclamation of emancipation 7 years ago. I think I was in the 4th or 5th grade when I had to memorize that and have to be able to say it to the class. Yes. And the part that I do remember was the 7 years ago, the proclamation of emancipation of the slaves. Now this king, he got a little too uppity, didn't he? Pooch. It seems like law enforcement doesn't have to enforce the laws, and when I document that I was burglarized, trespassed, and victimized, the police and sheriffs feel no compulsion to have to actually call me. You're too prideful to make a phone call, and I've included my phone number in almost all the emails about, well, where are my missing sons? Hooch. You don't have to reverse your court orders, but you don't have to enforce fraud laws and forgery laws. You can continue to victimize American citizens because you have a badge on. Now, I got to thinking about this. I went to church last night, and I thought, well, I think it's time for me to preach the word. Because I'm thinking that somebody's been perverting Christianity, and they just have to be on those that are homosexuals. They themselves don't have any homosexual sex, but they do have to be on them. Now, I know somebody has to be on everybody, and when having homosexual sex, you have to be on them, but there's a sowing that goes on through that process. Now, why don't you tell me, Sheriff, who'd you have to be on when they were having homosexual sex, and how is it that you decided to use the lizard grit? I got thinking about shit in the can. Yes, what happens when your little friend doesn't want to come out of there, and you've been had it in there for 3 to 6 months, and it just doesn't want to go into the can? Do you have to dig around?